Okay, crew, our goal today is to be able to use a ratio table to find percents. I'm going to go over a couple of these with you, and then I'm going to let you work with your tribe. So our first question today asks us to find 5% or a very small percentage of 600. Now I told you before, but I think the hardest part of using a ratio table is setting it up. So in this instance, I know that I am dealing with a number, which is 600, and a percent, which is 5. So those are the two things I'm going to compare. So on my ratio table, one of my values is a number, and the other one is a percentage. In this instance, my number is 600. And 600 represents my entire whole, or 100%. So I'm going to start by saying 600 is the whole, or 600 is 100%. Now, it is my goal to get to 5%. Okay, so on this bottom part right here, I want to get that value to 5%. Now, what I always do, or a lot of times do, is I try and get to 10% and then work with 10%. So I'm going to start by dividing the top and the bottom by 10. Okay, so that means that 10%, and in our warm-up today we talked about that it would be 60, right? We shift all of our numbers to the right. Now, Finn, I saw your hand up. Do you know how to get to 5%? Yeah, let's divide everything by 2. And notice how I'm doing all of my work on my ratio table. All right, crew, what is half of 10?
5.
And what's half of 60? Okay. So in this case, I know that 5% would be 30. Okay, see that I have all of my work on my ratio table. I'm annotating my steps. All right, let's do number 2 next. So this one we are trying to find 15% of 120. Okay, once again, I have a number and I have a percentage. Oh, I was going to let you guys do this one. I'll let you set up the next one. My number in this case, what's my whole? Yeah, and what percent would that be? 100. Okay, now I want to try and get to 15%. Who has a great strategy for how to get to 15%? Jackson, let's hear it.
You divide the 100 by 20.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Could you do 120 divided by 20 in your head?
It's 6.
Okay, so that would be a yes. Okay. All right, so then we would have 6 and 5. Okay, what'd you do next?
Then you multiply by 3.
Yeah, great strategy. Okay, so 15% would be 18. Does anyone have another strategy? Can I show you guys another strategy? Okay. I'm going to move this over just a little bit and kind of start over. So once again, I have my number and my percent. My number is 120 and my percent is 100. So we'll just extend this. Okay? Jackson's strategy was fantastic. I just want you to see multiple ways to do this. So I'm going to divide by 10 to start. Remember that I love finding 10%. So 10% would be 12. Okay. Now I'm going to think about how can I use 10 to build up to 15%. What are you thinking?
Divide by 2.
That's great. Divided by 2 would be 5%. Okay, so 6 would be 5%. Sure. And then we could multiply by 3. Yeah, we get the same answer we got before. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Add these two columns together. Would you still get 18? You definitely can. Yeah. Let's circle that answer. All right. I'm going to let you guys do 3, 4, and 5 by yourself. But for now, let's skip to 6 because I want to show you another strategy that I really like to do. Okay. I want you to take just a minute to set this problem up. Okay. Just set up the first 2 columns. What quantities are you comparing? And then I'll show you what it can look like. Yeah, good job, crew. So for number 6, we have our number, which is 90, and 90 represents 100%. Okay, now we're trying to get to 12%. That's our goal. Okay, so I'm going to go down to 10% again. I'm going to scale down to 10%. Divide both the top and the bottom by 10. So that means that 9 represents 10%. And some people today have said, wait, can the number be less than the percentage? Yeah, it can be. Okay, now here's the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to find 1%. I want to divide by 10 again. And 1%, what's 1% going to be? 9/10. I like that you're using your place value words. So notice how we just kept shifting our numbers to the right. It went from 90 to 9 to 9/10. If we divided by 10 again, we would have 9/100. All right, from there, how do you guys think we could get to 12%? How could we get to 12%? What do you think? Yeah, what do you think?
Two ways you could multiply it by 12.
We could.
Or you could multiply it by 3 and multiply that by 4.
We could definitely do that. So we could either multiply by 12, or we can multiply by 3 and then by 4. That's a great strategy.
Or 6.
Or 6 and 2. Oh, you're like so versatile with your thinking. Does anybody have a different idea? Yeah.
It's kind of long.
Okay.
The second column, you could divide that by 2.
Uh-huh.
Divide.
Okay.
Add column 3.
Yes, we could get this to 5.
Multiply that by 2.
Add those together to get 6 and multiply by 2. It's a great strategy. Yeah.
But you also divide the 10 by 9 and multiply by 6.
You definitely could. You guys are like really thinking about your numbers here. So he said to get this, divide by 5 and then get 2%. And then multiply that by 6 to get 12%. Sure. For this one, I'm going to show you just one other way. I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by 2. So 2%. Okay. I know 9 times 2 is 18. So it would be 1 and 8/10. Good job. And then I'm going to add column 2. So that would be 12%. Add together 9 and 1 and 8/10 to get 10 and 8/10. And so there's my final answer for that one. How many of you have ever been to a restaurant?
20%.
Okay. How many of you have been to a restaurant where you sit down and as a result you pay your waiter or waitress a little bit of extra money? Your server, I guess I should say.
20%
Yeah.
tip.
So sometimes people tip 15%. If they had really good service or they're somewhere very fancy, they might choose to give a 20% tip. Okay? So we're going to look at 10. And then you guys are going to be really good at giving tip. And then you should convince your family that you should go out to dinner because you want to find out the tip. Okay. So your bill was $25, and let's say you want to give a 15% tip. So let's set up our ratio table, and this time our two values that we're comparing are money and percent. So $25 represents 100%. Who would like to walk us through how to get to 15%? Joe? Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so first, I have to divide 700 by 10
Okay.
to get to 10. 5 by 10, 2 by 10. Then you would divide 10 by 10 and get to 1.
Okay.
And you divide 2 by 10 by 10 to get to 2500.
Okay.
Then you multiply both of those by 15 and get the 1 to 15.
Now let me ask you this. Can you do 25 cents or 25 hundredths times 15 in your head? How about we do this? Could we multiply these by 5?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and the 1 times 5 and 20.5 times 5 is 25 cents.
Okay.
Then you multiply both those by 3. So you get your percent to 15 and your money to like $3.75.
Whew. Good job. That was awesome. Once you got to this 5, you could also choose to add together these two columns as well. All right, how about 20%? Can someone walk us through to do 20%? Let's hear it. And we can use what we have on our ratio table already too if you want to.
I just did like in my brother and I did a simple way, just divide by 5. Then you can get 20 and then
Oh, you divided all of this by 5.
yeah, just that.
Oh. Now these numbers both divide really nicely by 5, right? Okay. So we would have 20. And then what's 25 divided by 5?
5.
Yeah, that is awesome. Now another strategy, if we know 10%, what could we do with 10%? What could we multiply that by? We could also multiply it by 2. All right, crew, the rest of this you get to work on with your tribe.
We gotta get it done.